Good morning, good morning. So, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this disclaimer. I didn't really advertise this much ahead of time. It's kind of a random stream. Don't know what we're expecting today, but we're gonna try to get what we can get. That being said, I'm not a medical professional of any type. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet or any other aspect of your lifestyle is something you should check with a doctor before enacting in your own existence. I'm also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is intended as financial advice. I hope that that's obvious. Definitely nothing I say is a recommendation for an investment. I'm also a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is an admission of guilt. And I'm not a yoga instructor of any type. I'm a yoga experimenter, and I'm simply sharing my findings with you fine people. That being said, looks like we got our first people here and some chatters and stuff. You guys, I'm on the iPad, so if the image quality is like diminished a little, it's because we're on a 2016 iPad right here. I forgot to charge my phone last night, but I realized I had some battery on the iPad, so we're iPadding it. Maybe that's better for the audio. Anyways, how are we looking over here on audio? Let me check the chat. Welcome, Brenda. Thank you for being the first person here. Wigs, always good to see you. And happy to have you here this morning. I don't know where that accent came from. This morning, I don't even know what kind of fucking accent that is. That was I busted out like something from somewhere that I ain't from. I don't know. Good morning, Noy. Good to see you. You guys, I'm trying to, Sam wants it. I got too amped. Sam's like, I got to get in on this. This is too amped. We're amping it. Are we amping? You want to get my shirt dirty? Yeah, you do. Yes, you're like, you look too clean, mister. Yeah. Oh, 1 second, guys. I gotta do the puppy loves. Oh, oh. That's you, dude. That's your face. Look at it. That's your fucking head. Why is it so big, dude? You got a fat fucking head. Look at you. Why's your head so big? Did you get beat up? Who got fucking ate up at the dog park? It was you? You got your ass kicked twice? You did? You look so tough. How'd that happen? You don't like that? You don't want me to tell nobody? You didn't want nobody to know? You didn't want me to tell about the ass whooping? Sam, you look banged up, bro. Let's see, back to the chat. What's up? So we got a nice little, I like this little group. This is a cool group. All right, yeah, so you guys, Sam got his ass whooped twice in a row. Yeah. Some kind of dog whooped his ass, and then when we were leaving, somebody else showed up, let their dog out of the car, and was like, I guess the other dog must have sensed Sam's shame, and he just decided to whoop his ass too. So Sam got whooped twice. He's got laceration in his neck, and both of his ears are all manged up. Poor guy. He had a rough day. He's tough with people for some reason, but with other dogs, he doesn't fight back. I don't know. He just gets his ass kicked. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyways, no, it's a true story. It's a true story. Wow, we got 20 people here already. Okay, guys, let's have a stream. That's enough talking about Sam's little same. This is a simulation. Do you mean the stream, or do you mean like everything around us entirely? That's a good place to start. We can talk about that, Zaddy. How's my fasting going? It's going mixed. it's going fairly well in some regard. It hasn't stayed on the schedule that I wanted it to stay on, but I've been kind of um, uh, fluttering in and out of, I haven't stuck to I've been kind of doing like an every other day thing. I'm about to, tomorrow will be only juice again for me. I'm gonna have just juice, not even smoothie, like only the juice. And then the day after, I'm going to be dry fasting again. So I am behind schedule on the progression because it was my birthday a few days ago, and I ended up basically pigging out on my birthday when I was intending to fast. But aside from that, it's going well. And so, and I've also managed to make some good work on, like, I didn't have coffee for like the last like 3 or 4 days, something like that, since the last stream. Whenever the last stream was my last coffee. And I've been having some really interesting situation, like, so the last 3 days I basically just slept all day, but during the hours that I was awake, I've been having this interesting situation where I'm like asleep and awake at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but it's the best feeling because I've been lately sleeping so good since I quit the coffee. Obviously it has something to do with it, but I keep waking up in the morning with this like warm, fuzzy feeling. You know, I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but like, you know, you wake up in the morning, you're like, damn, I was sleeping so good. You're like, now I'm just happy to be like laying here, and you know, you feel that like warm embrace around you, but there's nothing embracing you. It's just the world. It's just the universe, right? And so I've been waking up with that, but what's even more awesome is that I've been able to like get up and continue about my day and continue with the warm, just woke up embrace throughout the day. And I'm just kind of like walking around, and it's literally like dreaming in real life. It makes the whole world feel like a big fucking dream. You're just like walking around, you're just like, wow, this is like such a trip. Like, you're just like looking at everything, you're like, this is real. Like, this is like fucking as real as it gets. I mean, maybe it is a simulation, as our friend Zaddy mentioned earlier, but it's a fucking good one. They did a good fucking job of this thing. This might be one of the best things we ever came up with. I mean, I'd like to think that we came up with better things, but as far as like, if you take all things considered, like the fucking, you know, the emotions that this inspires, the little bit of uncertainty of life, this is fucking amazing. Anyways, sorry guys, I haven't been on the chat. So also, just forewarning you guys, you guys are, I don't know, we have, Sam, chill. It's lagging. Okay. I don't know, we have, Sam, chill. It's lagging. Okay. Well, here, I'm going, Sam, chill. Do I have a United States Marine Corps bot in here, or is that like a real person trying to recruit innocent lives into war in my fucking chat that is about peace and love? I'm trying to figure this out. 1 second. I'm concerned about this. Listen, this is not the place to recruit people into war. This is the last place to come to fucking recruit people, Mr. Marine Corps. I'm gonna have to go ahead and just block that just in case. I don't ever want that here again. How do I permanently hide user on this channel? Okay. That person's gone forever. Anyways, okay, so back to the chat. So we got, looks like we got our room back, most of it. We got 33 people here. We're good. All right, so back to the chat. Yeah, there was 40 people here. Yeah, it's doing good. Yeah, YouTube is really like blessing us with the algorithm lately. So apparently they're forgiving my past transgressions, and they've just upgraded me to. By the way, you guys, we only need about, on the unofficial count, about 50 more hours before I can become a full-fledged YouTuber. It's like 200 hours on the official count, but that always runs behind, so we're pretty good. Can I name a song for an edit? You know what, honestly, I can't name a song. I don't fucking remember. I don't even know. My brain just doesn't even register these things. I'm like, oh, I've heard that before. I'll never know the name of it. I'll never know who sang it. That's just like how my brain goes. Do I live in my van? I live in my body. I live in my body. You know, I do use the van for shelter when necessary, but overall, I would say the only thing that I live in, which I will always live in and will never live outside of, which is myself and my body. So, you know, it's one of those things. I always think it's really weird when people consider like some physical inanimate object as their place of residence, because you know, your house could burn down tomorrow. Just saying. And then where are you gonna live? Are you fucking living nowhere? Are you just fucking floating around? You become a ghost? No, you're still living the same place where you lived your whole fucking rest of your life. Right there inside yourself. Isn't it fucking amazing? You know, this is like one of the most bare minimum like things that people could come to understand, which would like increase their happiness like tremendously. Thank you so much, by the way, Noy and Anna. Appreciate you guys on the, I don't know if these are super thanks or super likes or what they call these things nowadays, but thank you very much for the donations, whatever the thing may be. The other, oh, by the way, you guys, I'm just so you know, I don't know, I'm interested. There's a new feature supposedly on YouTube called GIFs. I don't know if there's a new button on there, if anyone can confirm or anything that it indeed exists and want to let us know how that works. You're welcome to. Let's see. So what do you guys want to talk about? Let's talk about something. What buys me a new house? I don't believe in owning anything in this world, Ali Bobby. I think it's called in my humble opinion, the concept of owning things, especially things which you cannot take with you into the next dimension, is a function of slavery. Yes, believe it or not, it's a function of slavery. Can you imagine needing shelter which you have to pay taxes on indefinitely for the rest of your life, and then you had to work to make those taxes, to pay them in the money that's not backed by anything? It's like definitely slavery. Just saying. Magic, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so the gifting exists. It's to the right of the cursor. It's a gift box. Okay, cool. That's cool. You're right. You have love. That's more than that house. That's true. Love, you can actually, love is a big thing, because you can take that with you everywhere. You can take that with you to the next dimension. You can take that with you to the next life even. You could literally fucking evaporate your body, enter another realm, come back again, and still be wearing your love. Believe it or not. So love is important. Love is indeed important. I think I already answered this, but it said, but where do I live? Just outside? Kind of, yeah. I mean, I live wherever I am. Like right now, I'm living in this seat right here. I'm like here, like inside my body. My body's here, and I'm like remote controlling my body from outside of my body. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like making me do stuff. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Am I a Neanderthal? I don't know. You know, I haven't actually gotten tested for the Neanderthal thing. I was considering to do that actually. I also, you know, what is that thing called? I try not to be too proud of my obvious Neanderthal ancestry, but I am actually proud of it. It's an area of my ego which I'm actually working on, you know, and to where that I could be like, you know, satisfied, happy with myself even if I wasn't myself. But you know, for the time being, I'm just accepting that which is myself inside this Neanderthal form, which I'm okay with. But we haven't confirmed. It's really honestly just a theory. I don't know where the gift thing is, you guys. Honestly, I just, whatever. What do I think about Trump winning? Well, you know, the thing about politics and elections in general, as living beings on Earth, and I don't necessarily think that that what did happen, which was probably the only thing that ever was going to happen or could have happened, is going to fix all that. But I do think that it bought us some time. I think that it's a good sign that the powers that be that control all this stuff from higher up has decided not to remove us yet. You know what I mean? So I think that we have like at least a few years to try to come up with a new plan. You can at least buy some time. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, honestly, with that whole thing, like the main thing that I'm really actually excited about with the whole thing, which I thought was really favorable, was the whole RFK thing. Like, I love the ideas and bullshit out of our stuff, and he talks a lot, which I agree with. I want the bullshit out of the food. There's not really much I can do about all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of that's outside my pay grade. But, like, if we could really, really, really encourage less poisoning of the population, I think that that would be a fucking great place to start with going forward in the whole humanity thing. You know what I mean? Am I in LA? I am in LA. I'm trying to get out of LA. This OG talk sounds so familiar. It's true. It's true. Okay, here we go. Now we're starting to get some good questions. Wow, we got 54 people here. Like, what are people doing on a Wednesday? Like, this is okay. What do I think about psychedelics being used for PTSD more in the US now? That's a good fucking question. I don't know if I'm actually qualified to answer this. Okay, so I do think that psychedelics are a valid form of medicine, and probably a lot more valid than whatever they're using it for. Like, I think that they're most likely, whoever's using these things medicinally currently, like as far as the doctors who are administering it, I'm almost positive that they're probably doing it wrong. But I think it's great, honestly. I think that anything that we can do, like, just aside from the fact that I do believe that it's an effective treatment that could help a lot of people, I also just I despise, I mean, when I say despise, there's not many things that I absolutely despise or in this world, but the pharmaceutical companies are one of those things. And I think that literally anything that we can do to take money and power and reputation or any kind of positive feelings in the population away from people towards the actual pharmaceutical companies is a win. Like anything we can do to diminish them is a win. You know what I'm saying? And one of the best things that we can do to diminish them is to go back to natural. Go back to herbs, go back to stuff. And I don't just mean for just uh, psychological ailments and mental health stuff. I mean for everything. Like there's literally, if it can't be cured with something natural, it's not supposed to be cured, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm a big proponent of fasting. Like I honestly think, you know, there's nothing which can't be cured with fasting, which is curable. I think almost everything basically is curable. But I'm not a medical professional. Don't listen to me. I'm not giving health advice. It's just my opinion. All right. So but I do think it's interesting. Like I'm not a huge fan person. I mean, like I know that the ketamine thing is getting popular. I'm personally never done ketamine, and I never would do ketamine because it's like a chemical type thing. But I do think that there's definitely some really strong plant medicine out there that could potentially cure people of situations. And what's the other cool thing about using psychedelics as mental health medicine is that, you know, like, you know, there's something wrong with the pharmaceuticals and treatments and things coming from psychiatrists when it's like something you have to take for your entire life. They're like, here, we're going to prescribe this to you. Like, oh, cool. How long does it take to work? Oh, it doesn't actually ever work permanently. It's just you have to take this for the rest of your life. And people are like, for the rest of my life, where do I sign up? That sounds great. I would love to rely on medication for the rest of my life. And nobody thinks that's weird. Versus like plant medicine, psychedelics and things. Like, oh, okay, I got some fucking major like trauma in here. I need to fucking grasp with a fucking massive dosage of some type of fungal remedy. I'm gonna fucking freak out for 12 to 16 hours, and then I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be healed. That's like how I see it with the plant medicine, which is a way, it can be an actual cure. You can actually, you know what I'm saying, take some of that trauma and file it. Done. And that's a big thing. I think that's very cool. Let me go back to the chat. Come down to San Diego. We got beautiful beaches. You know, I've actually been planning on coming down to San Diego. It's like my next stop. I'm trying to get all my stuff in order here. Which, oh, someone just brought it up, the storage unit. So the storage units have been redone. I got rid of both. I got rid of both the units that I was trying to get rid of. Now basically what I did was I took two 10x10s and I turned them into a 10x15 and a 10x5. And now I got the 10x5. I'm like putting things which I can't get rid of, like paperwork and so on and so forth, in there. Everything else I'm sorting in the 10x15, which is all for sale. And if I can't sell it soon, I'm gonna auction the whole thing as a single piece. So I don't know if anyone's in this shopping for some furniture, but if you want to own a bunch of stuff that I've, like, you know, done the thing all over, definitely holler at me. I got stuff for sale. Yeah, and we're working our way towards just being us. Me and Sam, we're on our way. But aside from that, I've been planning on going and checking out San Diego and like Orange County and stuff, because it is starting to get a little colder here, and I'm hoping maybe it'll be a little warmer South. I've just never actually, honestly, like, I loved Santa Barbara so much. It was only it's only an hour away from LA, and I fucking loved it. I love it. I love it there. I've never really checked out the whole OC area. I've never really checked out the whole, I mean, I've been down there like once or twice, but I never really vibed in with the OC or the San Diego thing. But after loving Santa Barbara so much, I want to go check out some other locations here in California. So I do plan on doing that as well. Somebody else says, lead pipes are in homes. It's the homeowner's problem, not society. Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but lead pipes don't sound too fun. Someone said, hello, Justin Bieber. Big fan. I don't get that, but it's okay. Magic says, yeah, nah, it was more your POV as a citizen, because allegedly that's another initiative by Robert K, just like the FAA. Thank you for answering. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I honestly, like, RFK is, like, on point to me as far as, like, I don't even care if he's, like, a little bit over the top, because, like, I prefer, like, I'm on the page that, like, nowadays it's better to be like, to believe in too much conspiracy than not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, like, it just assume that everything in this world is either fake, a lie, or poisonous, and from there you can dial it back, into, like, okay, maybe that's not, you can eventually be like, okay, I've proven this one specific thing to be not fucked. But aside from that, if you haven't proven, anything unproven is a lie. That's the way I operate. So I'd prefer somebody that's, like, over the top, and paranoid, maybe even, than somebody that's like, yeah, no, it's cool, like, whatever, like, I'm pretty sure they tested this, nobody died, I don't think. I mean, I don't know, they said maybe it gave, like, some rats cancer or something, but whatever, feed it to the people. You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather take the over the, like, like, I would rather see food prices, even though everything's so expensive right now currently, like, I would rather just see them just absolutely ban, like, all types of pesticides and shit from farming, even if it, like, tripled the price of food. Like, I don't even care. Just get all the poison out. Stop. Because this is the problem, is that it eventually gets into the groundwater, and it creates really fucked up situations. So I'm happy about the RFK thing, to be honest. Let's see. Best way to cook possum. Yep, I agree with Frankita. Definitely sashimi style. Let us know how that goes, Phil. Are you wanting to leave your old life behind? I already left my old life behind. But yeah, I basically am trying to pioneer a new style of existence, which is not new at all. It's actually been around since, like, probably way before, like, our history. But people have not adapted. No, we got to bring the asceticism thing up to date. They tell us it's 2024. I don't know what year it really is. I actually had this realization recently that I think the way that I've been trying to figure out how they fucking got us into this position, because it's, like, hard to fucking look around and be like, how did we get to this dystopian fucking place in life right now? And I think that the bamboozle happened more recently than we realize. You know what I mean? And I think that they added on, 500 to 1,000 years onto our timeline. And that the way that they did that was that they took history, the real history that actually happened, but it probably happened like 3 or 4,000 years ago or something like that. I don't know, whatever. Fucking ancient history. They took ancient history. Then they reenacted it all. They were like, okay, cool. We got all this old weaponry and shit from fucking like 1,000 years ago. What if we arm the population with all these antique weapons and then we have a world war? By the time we get done with the world war, everyone will be so fucking fucked up mentally and so freaked out, they'll have no fucking clue what the fuck's going on. And then, just in case somebody remembers what we did, we'll do it again in like 20 years or something. However long it was between World War I and World War II. They just like fucking reenacted all that shit, right? By the time all that shit was being done, reenacted, we had no fucking clue what was going on. They're fucking flying around in spaceships, shooting shit with lasers from space, everything else. And we're just over here like fucking like, we just invented the machine gun. Like, let's do this. Like, fucking, and meanwhile, like, fucking computers, AI, fucking fake photos, deep fake technology, the printing press, fucking computers, phones, all that shit's coming out in rapid speed. We're all like seeing all this shit, but it's like all the videos are fake, all the photos are fake, everything's fucking fake. Our grandparents are fucking traumatized from being in the wars. Like, we have fucking no clue what the fuck is going on. And that's how I think they did it. I think that they literally just reenacted ancient history until everyone was so mind fucked from it, and then they fucking, basically acted like we're going through this like super crazy technological boom, but the technological boom was really just them giving us, they're like, the whole dystopian, like, well, they're gonna chip us. Like, what the fuck do they need to chip us for, dude? Like, you got the phone in your hand, you're taking photos of everything for it, it's snapping shots, it's taking 3D fucking layouts of your fucking house and everything else. Like, it knows where the wires are in your walls. Like, it's insane. It's, it can hear everything around you for probably 100 yards out. Amount of data that they collect on us now, and there's no way they've done it that fast. Like, it was set up to do all this ahead of time. Just saying. I don't know. Let's see. Brianna says it's colder in the mornings but warmed up throughout the day. My favorite chill area is by the beach over in La Jolla and Encinitas. Yeah, I heard La Jolla is nice. Let's see. Brianna McCrae says, wait, how did we get here? I don't know how we got here. I don't know if you're talking about this conversation or in general, like the fucking society. But in either case, I have no clue how we got here. Magic says, I have a theory on the Renaissance and how long it took society to bloom all over again from art and science. I'm telling you, it was all fucking act. This shit's too good to fucking be true, you guys. That was gross. But yeah, no way that happened. Much love to you as well, vlogs. Cannonball says, you've mentioned wanting to write a book or working on a book. What would it be about? Well, I've actually written a book before, which was like a fantasy fiction kind of thing, but I've been really interested in writing philosophy. I've actually started on several pieces that were like philosophy based. I've had some also talks with a very, very, very amazingly talented artist about doing like a graphic novel kind of a thing, which would be kind of erotica based, which is kind of an interesting thing. I thought it would maybe be a good way to, I guess, transition my fan base over to like a different kind of content, and also maybe a way to like use my experiences in life, which were largely sexual in nature, um, to create um, intriguing fiction. Um, but mainly my interest has been mainly in philosophy. And now I'm also kind of, obviously I've become really interested in spirituality, but the spiritual world is something that um, it's kind of hard to predict. um, which also, that's actually the original reason that I actually came on here, was to talk about some spiritual developments that I had. But um, maybe we'll save that for next time, since this stream has been on a different thing. Thank you, Farho, from watching from India. Oh, I guess we'll call you Tia. Welcome. Hey, Tia. Let's see. Cannonball says, do you think, or Cannonball says, I think your real life experiences must have been more colorful than any fiction. They have. It has been very colorful. um, the cool thing about fiction is a very interesting concept, which is employed commonly throughout the world, known as plausible deniability. And I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. Brianna says, don't feel obligated to answer this question if it's too personal, but are you not interested in film industry anymore? And there is part of me that is interested in film industry. The thing is that, and not to say that this is 100%. I don't really have anything against the industry, but like my interest in film industry is more along the lines of like something that, well, there's a couple issues there. You know what I'm saying? Like, first off, like, I'm really trying to, well, it's not just that I'm trying, like, I've been celibate for a while now, and I do feel that I've reaped some major benefits from that. Now, I do also think that I probably have reaped most of the benefit that I'm going to get from that, and that whatever further growth that I can get from that area is something that I would have to, start becoming active there again. But the thing is I don't know. I just wouldn't. I don't know if I don't want to get myself in trouble here, and I'm not trying to shame anybody or anything. It's just that I just don't know that I want to be exposed to other people that are currently super active in the industry, if that makes sense. That's probably the best way I can put that. It's not like it's like a, something that I view as like a permanent stain or anything. It's just that I know how energy works well enough to realize that it hangs around for a little while. And I want to, if I'm going to agree to an energy exchange with somebody, I want to know what they're carrying with them energetically. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like, okay, cool, I hired this girl from this agency, she showed up, we're gonna do some cool stuff, but I'm not gonna, like, what am I gonna be like, oh, so, how many scenes have you done recently? How many guys you're seeing on your off time? Are they all mentally healthy? Physically? Everything good? They resolved a lot of their past traumas. Everyone that you've been fucking lately. You know what I'm saying? It's just not like the kind of conversation that you can have. You know what I mean? So, not even that you would want to have it, because you already know the answer to all those fucking questions, which is all going to be negative, 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 negative. It's like, you know, and so it's just not really something that it's not that it doesn't interest me. It's just that there's not really an available way for me to do that without backtracking on my own personal progress of me purifying myself. Like I've been with like 1,000 something women in my life. It's not like a fucking walk in the park to discharge all this energy from myself and to purify myself. Like it's been a major fucking process. Like I had to give up my career for this. I'm constantly fasting. I'm just like, I spend days or weeks in silence sometimes. Like I've given up all my possessions. Like I'm literally trying to discharge all my past energies and all these, everything that I picked up over the last 10 years or whatever, like in a constant, basis. Like it's a major process for me. So, while I definitely could use, some additional resources, I don't necessarily want to trade all my progress that I've done so far for those resources. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I hope that answers the question. I wasn't too whatever. I didn't want to be like, whatever. I don't have any negative feelings towards the industry and all that. It's just that there's like a lot going on there. A lot going on there. Not just in the physical realm, but in the emotional, etheric realm. You know what I'm saying? Like those first 2 layers of your 7 layers of self are very busy. And, those are like the 2 that fucking pick up things from this realm. You know what I'm saying? And you carry a lot of stuff with you on those layers. So it's like, it's just kind of a counterproductive thing for me with what I'm doing currently. And also, this YouTube thing is happening. So, I don't expect this to be an overnight success or anything, but given some type of consistency, I think that we're going to eventually pass an inflection point where this can become my main focus. And perhaps there will be, what I'm saying, like, we're doing the infinity, we're the snake eating its tail, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe this will fucking circle back around, we'll see. But for right now, we're on a different loop. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's see what we got here. Chat. Let's see. Oh, we did a lot of chat. Okay. Jackie said no. Talk about them. Talk about what? Cannonball says, or will you present real life experiences as fiction, leaving the audience to ponder if it actually happened or not? That is, I don't know. That's a hell of a concept. It's like you would never know, right? It's almost like as if anything could be true or fiction after having a life like mine. You know what I mean? You really just don't know. You'll never know. Cannonball says, once you've reached such spiritual and physical purity, you shouldn't go back to all those mixed energies. Exactly. Now, to say it's not necessarily an impossible situation to imagine that something could happen at some point that allowed for both of those things to happen simultaneously. Or if they never do, then at least the world of fantasy fiction to pretend that they did. You know. But I don't really like believe in like I live in the day. I'm not making plans for tomorrow. I'm not making plans for next week. Like, I'm worrying about today. Today we're streaming, we're talking, we're doing good. We're on a different vibe today. Um, and yeah, that's what we're doing. We're worrying about today, you know. And whatever I just talked about, those are my feelings as they are today. They could change. They could be different tomorrow. Brianna says, I believe secondary film sites like OF allows you to find your own partners that match your energy and be allowed to work for yourself. That's true. That is 100% true. You know, but the whatever vetting process that would go into that would be complicated. But yeah, it leaves it open. The possibilities. The possibilities are endless and open. You never know. There's definitely endless things that could happen or be happening. So we'll see what happens. Sorry, guys. I'm like still in like kind of like that like sleep awake thing going on, but honestly it's a blast, to be honest. Like, being asleep and awake at the same time is fucking, it's top. Let me tell you, it's good. All the benefits of being asleep while being awake, very good. Let's see, Jackie says you can't make that a requirement technically. It would eliminate most film partners. Well, yes, exactly. That's why I'm not filming. I can make that a requirement, and I did make that a requirement, and that's why I'm not filming anymore, because I'm sticking to my guns. Now, you know, to say I don't, you know, I'm still new in this whole thing. Like, I haven't even had a chance. You know, before I would want to film anything again in that, you know, in that light, I would first just want to do it myself in private and learn to control my energies and to protect myself and to see what I can stir up inside somebody else, to see how much I'm able to interact and interface with somebody else's energies at this point. Like, there's a lot of things which I am retroactively aware of that I've already done in the past and learned to do in the past, and now I'm able to recognize what I was doing instead of just being like, you know, oblivious to whatever's going on etherically with myself. So there's that. You know, thing like, I don't know what, I haven't even had a chance to even practice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still in my own purification process. So just to say what I will do in the future is like impossible, because I don't know, because I haven't even completed my current requirements. I can't even say that I know anything, because I don't fucking know shit, because I haven't gotten to try it out or experiment with it yet. Let's see. Oh, we got some stuff on. Brianna agrees with Cannonball's comment. Jackie says it would put you back spiritually. I agree. Never compromise your integrity. Exactly. You know, the thing is I've talked about this a lot, you guys. Like, you know, like, I believe in all the gods. I understand that, you know, there's many of them. But I also understand that all the gods are, you know, different facets of the personality of the ultimate one that created them all, you know. And I understand that there's no religion or commandments, or there's not even a name for the highest of the high, for that which created everything that we know. There's no name for that, right? And there's no like religion for that. There's no code of ethics or anything for that. I've mentioned this many times. The only thing that you can do, there's no way to, you can't even worship it. It doesn't want your worship. It doesn't care about your worship. It has nothing to do. It's not like all the personalities of the Creator. Those want to be adored. Those want to be worshipped. That's why there's religions behind them and so on and so forth. But that which created it all is beyond that. There's no religion for it. The only thing that there is virtue and order. Those are the aspects which the highest of the high respects and cherishes. And you know what I'm saying, and if you act virtuously, and you know what I'm saying, and you know, make virtue, you make it yourself and who you are, that's how you appeal to the highest of the high. That's how you worship the highest of the high. You don't, you know, you don't have to do any of that. You know what I mean? You just be a virtue. You just be a virtue. You know. And that's how you honor that, the highest of the high. So yeah, it's important. Let's see. Jason Brody's got a question. Well, shoot the question, Brody. Jackie says, talk about your new spiritual stuff you've come across recently. I wonder if there is a way to protect yourself from those energies after sleep with. Well, I think that some stuff is like, you know, there's a natural, you know, the spiritual self in some ways similar to the physical stuff, in the sense that, like, you know, things happen inside your spiritual self which are unconscious, or to your actively conscious self. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the same way that your heart continues to beat even though you're not being like, okay, heart beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the same way that continues to happen without you telling it to happen, or the same ways that you maybe you catch a cold and your body starts fighting the cold. You build a immunity to the cold. You didn't sit here and go, okay, mind, okay, body, fight this cold. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, so you're just like, no, don't fight the cold, and it's like the cold's just gonna like take you out. It's not how it works. You know what I mean? Your spiritual self develops immunity and things like that on its own as well. So I think that in such an extreme case as my own, it has a lot to do with probably how I got here to begin with. Because I wasn't trying to get here. I didn't even know that here was a place that could be gotten to. I didn't know any of this existed. But something got me here, and one of those things was definitely having sex with like 1,000 women. I guess I missed the guy at my window. I didn't see that. There's people, I'm in a parking lot, so people are walking around, whatever. Do I balance my chakras every day? I would say no. I don't really know how to do that, to be honest, but I genuinely am very conscious if I have, like, I can very acutely feel it when there's a disruption in the way one is working or flowing. And I usually, honestly, just let it be. I just try to purify as much as possible. I try to fucking be virtuous as much as possible. Like, I try to do all these things. And then when there's a problem, then I specifically try to, you know, reverse engineer that. And that's kind of like also something that's interesting, because it made me realize like how yoga came to be to begin with, because it's an interesting thing. It's because it's not like yoga just existed one day. somebody was like, hey, yo, if we fucking do all this stuff, like, this can happen. No. Like, somebody randomly started having a Kundalini awakening, and then they started encountering psychic knots and things like that, and disturbances in their chakras and so on and so forth, and they sat around fucking with it until they figured out how to undo it. And they're like, oh wow, look at, well, fucking as soon as you undo that one, boom, you go up, fucking this whole experience happens. So that, you know what I'm saying? And it's been recreated enough times that it's become a science. But yoga is really just the science of the self, but it's the science of the self supported by self-experimentation. You know what I'm saying? It's a mistake to think of everything as like in like some kind of like a solid, immovable way. You know what I mean? Like everything is probably like, there's like being a yogi or whatever, in my opinion, is not about memorizing positions and asanas and you know, whatever different aspects of yoga. There's a million different types of yoga, but it's not about memorizing things. For some people it is. That's how they do it. They just memorize. They practice, they memorize, that's it. But for me, like, to be a real yogi, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is a mindset. You know, it's about focusing on the self and understanding the self and experimenting on the self and being just aware of the self. It's about, you know, being your own experiment. And you know, there's concepts that you can embrace, which makes it so that you don't need to learn anything. You just need to know the concept. It's just like in chess. Like, you know, for example, you could memorize, you know, the first 20 lines of the top 50 openings, and you'd probably be a fairly highly rated chess player, right? But that takes up a ton of memory to memorize all these things and all these moves, right? Versus you could just learn tactics and like really understand the mechanics of chess and, you know, the tactics that go into winning chess. And then you don't even need to know any openings at all, because you can fucking just use the analytical part of your brain to sit there and be like, okay, this is the best move from this position of what I'm looking at right now. You're not projecting the future of, oh, if he does this, I'm going to do this. Or, you know what I'm saying, you're not projecting into the past of being like, oh, last time that I was in this position, I did this and this happened. You just look at the position as it is and say, what's the best fucking move from here, from where I'm sitting right now? What's the best move? You know, and that applies to all things. It's not just chess, not just yoga. It's all of life applies like that. What's the best move from here, from where I am right now? Stay in the moment. Stay right now. What's your best move? Is your best move to flip to another channel and get off of this, whatever this Neanderthal looking guy is talking about? Or is your best move to sit here and listen and think about it? You know what I'm saying? Like every moment from one to the next, to the next, to the next, you have a best move. And that's all you need to worry about, is your move at this moment. Don't fucking worry about a bunch of shit. You're fucking gonna go and fucking memorize a bunch of shit that probably, maybe, most likely will definitely never happen or won't happen every time. But the memory that you used up in your brain is taken up permanently. Does that make any fucking sense? No. Like, stay in the moment. Like, at this moment, what's your best move? That's what you're always asking yourself. Like, when you're doing yoga, you're sitting there, you're stretching, you're fucking, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to know a bunch of stuff and whatever. Like, it's actually easier in the worse shape that you're in. Right? Because the better shape that you're in, the more flexible you are, the stronger you are, the
fucking more experimentation you're gonna have to do to find your weak spot so that you can work on your weak spot. But if you're in fucking terrible shape, your muscles are totally tight, you can't fucking stretch for shit, you know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff, like how hard is it to find a tight muscle for you? It's fucking easy. Like I just put my fucking leg up on this other chair and I'm like, oh, hamstring feels a little tight. Let me stretch this. And I can fucking sit here and stretch this fucking hamstring all day long until that fucking hamstring is perfect. I can do it today, I can do it tomorrow, I can do it the next day. I don't have to fucking do a whole flow, million different things. I can fucking sit here and work on this one muscle till it's done. And then I can go and find another one and work on that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just one concept of it. Not everything in yoga and anything for that matter in life is physical. But the same concept can be applied physically as mentally. You know what I mean? Like, identify a weakness, eliminate the weakness. It's that simple. Just stay in the fucking moment. Whatever you're doing, do the best thing possible at this moment. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to the chat. I'm pretty sure I over-explained that, but I'm sure somebody will benefit from it. One second. Hide somebody real quick. They're done. Okay. Let's see. Cannonball says most OnlyFans creators work not only with actors but also work as escorts. That's not too good. Too much energy exchange. Yeah, I think that a lot of people do that. In fact, even in the adult industry, I think that that's a common thing. But to be honest, I mean, at least, you know, as an escort or something like that, you know, it really just depends. Like like somebody could have an escort client of any level of any type. You know, within the industry, you know that whoever you're working with, 20 people or something in the last week or two. You know what I mean? So, you know, one's a maybe and the other one's a definite. You know, so you can't really say that one is worse than the other or this than the other. The combination of the two for sure is the worst case scenario. Let's see, one second. Let's see. No chance you're going to talk about your most recent spiritual experience. Oh no, I can talk about that. So it's not really, I kind of talked about it. There's not really, it's hard, it's kind of thing that's like really not super vocalizable. But basically it all goes back to how bad the caffeine thing is. So I kicked the caffeine again recently. It made me sleep like crazy. During my waking hours, I was feeling like so good, but I also felt like I was like basically asleep and awake at the same time. Like I felt like I was like sleeping half my brain and the other half I was awake in. So it's like I'm like walking around and the whole world just looks like a fucking dream. I don't know. It's like almost like it's like a turning on the it's like basically like turning down the world from like when I was in that state, it's like the world goes from like 60 frames a second to 24 frames a second. If that makes sense to anyone. It goes from, you know, realistic hyper realism to cinema, moody lighting. Everything is kind of, you know, like slower in a sense. I don't know. Less defined, but more art looking. I don't know how to explain, but it's just like this. It's literally. Can somebody do me a favor? Bring up the four the Four Noble Truths. Can somebody please copy and paste the Four Noble Truths into the chat? Because this is what I'm like coming to realize from this. because like I already understood very well what it means, you know. Well, I started to understand the concept of liberation at some point, which is really crucial, okay? And you know what that is a release from suffering, right? Like when you can stay in the moment, you stop suffering. You stop living in the past. You stop, and um, and it's just understanding. Like for example, like we'll take psych meds. Some people like will take antidepressants for the whole life, and it works great for them. They say, okay, I can take this pill, and I wake up every day, and I'm not depressed. I'm happy. I'm dead. But let me tell you, you don't need a fucking pill. Your brain chemistry, everything that happens to you, whether you take when you take a medication or a drug or anything like that, these are signals, you know, signals and receptors and things. You know what I'm saying? All that is a function of your actual body. Your body's been triggered to do something. But the thing is that your body can just learn to do it on its own. And that is, let's see if someone did the Four Noble Truths thing. Yeah, here it is. The truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, and the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering. Okay, that's the Four Noble Truths, okay, that Buddhism is based on, right? Well, the truth of suffering is that we all suffer. Every fucking buddy suffers. It doesn't matter how great your position is in life. You could be fucking buku rich, right? Or you could be fucking dirt poor living in the streets. Doesn't fucking matter. You could be anywhere in between. In fact, especially in the fucking between. The middle ground is the worst place to be. Period. The most fucking awful suffering of all. Okay? So we know that suffering exists. We don't need anything to happen specifically. We've all had a moment in life when we said, we feel like shit. I'm fucking suffering. I don't really know why, or whatever reasons that I do contribute to my suffering may or may not be a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But we all know that it exists, all right? Okay? So what's the cause of that suffering? The cause of the suffering is me. I caused the suffering. Nothing else caused me to suffer. Even at the darkest moments of my life, fucking sitting in prison and shit like that, I understand that I was suffering because of my mind. You know what I'm saying? At my darkest moments came from me. They came from my karma, and they came from myself, and they came from my mind. You know what I mean? Like I was the source of my own suffering, right? And then the truth of the end of suffering. Okay, that's kind of like where I am now. You know what I'm saying? Like I have experienced, and in the past recent days has been an intense one of those experiences. I have experienced the end of suffering. I understand that I don't have to suffer. That I can be fucking great staring at a fucking wall. I can be fucking great sitting here in the fucking car. I can fucking be great walking through the mountains, or I can be fucking great fucking anywhere on the side of the street with my eyes closed. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I've proven that I don't have to suffer. Okay? And then, of course, the most important part is the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering. Okay? And that's what I'm fucking trying to portray. Like that's what I'm doing here on YouTube, and also what I'm doing in my own life, is that I'm walking that path, and I'm trying to tell you all that the path exists. That by purifying yourself and living in the moment, this exact moment and only this moment, that you can find the path to the end of suffering. And I mean permanent end of suffering. You know what I'm saying? So we know it exists. We know what causes it. We know that it can stop. And we know there exists a path to the permanent cessation of suffering. Okay? And that, combined with the 10 fetters or whatever, is Buddhism in a nutshell. Now, I'm not necessarily a Buddhist or anything. Like, I love Buddhism. I think it's a fucking awesome philosophy and religion. It's not my, I'm not personally, have never chosen to take a religion, but it being as successful as it is for giving people enlightenment and peace and liberation and so on and so forth things, you can, no matter what your religion is, those basic, very basic tenets of it, you can learn from it. But also more so, and very most important and applicable part of this lesson, is that the caffeine thing is, I've been over the caffeine thing a million times. I've done so many streams about it. I've done streams specifically on it. I've told everyone about the pattern that I've noticed of, like, all my biggest upgrades spiritually have all happened when I wasn't consuming caffeine. Now, my biggest upgrade, obviously, was the last thing when I had the Earth Star experience, and then the awakening my love for Shakti experience, which happened back to back, 2 days in a row, right? And for a few months afterwards, I was like just in the fucking absolute zone of being basically in like samadhi like all day for like 3 months. Now, at that point, when I was in that state of being like really pure and able to meditate in any moment, I thought that that was like my sustained enlightenment, right? And so I started experimenting around, like, okay, cool, I'll have a little coffee here, that was cool. Okay, I'll smoke a little weed here, that was cool. And I like convinced myself that, oh well, now I can do these things. I'm like, I've already achieved the poop, and now I can, dabble in my little things I used to like. Not true. The caffeine eventually fucking takes you down and takes you out of that fucking state. But the cool thing that I realized now recently is that by stopping again, I thought that I was waiting for the next big upgrade so that I could fucking try to stay into that state again. But in reality, all I had to do was quit drinking caffeine, and the state came back, and I was like back into it. So basically, the caffeine is a huge, huge, huge problem. I honestly really think that, there's some physical things that go on inside your body that enable spiritual connection and things like that to happen. And I think, and I really honestly think our overlords knew this when they put it in everything, but I really think that caffeine is like birth control for, or like a puberty blocker, spiritual awakening. Like, I really think that. Like, they fucking start giving us the caffeine, sodas and whatever they can, chocolate, when we're kids, and they keep us on it until we start work our way up to the coffee and we become addicted for life to the caffeine thing. And when you're consuming the caffeine, your spiritual awakening cannot happen. Or if it does, it slows it down. Not only that, but you could be in the middle of a spiritual awakening and you start consuming a ton of caffeine, and it can fucking stop it and shut it down right there. But the cool thing that we've discovered now is that if you don't lose the progress, you just pick back up where you left off. So stopping the caffeine again is always a good thing, because you'll just pick back up where you left off. Like, I was like thinking like it was a reset, like, okay, back to the beginning, okay, back to the beginning, okay, back to the beginning. But what I've learned now is that it's not back to the beginning. Thankfully, it's back to where you left off, which is fucking great. Anyways, let's see. Sorry, one second, you guys. There was a lot of chat I gotta find. Tia says, "You're my favorite and will always be forever thankful for existing." Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. That's an amazing thing to say. Jackie says, "I get what you mean. You can't just block it with a shield type of thing or close the door to it." Exactly. Welcome, chillin'. Cannonball says, you mentioned 1,000 plus women. I understand the ones from work, but why the others? Most men with such a high body count do it for ego, self-validation, stress relief. You seem to be motivated by love and respect. Were these opportunities you jumped on or you sought them out? They're more like opportunities I jumped on, I guess. I just, when I was, okay, like, let's explain. I'm going to be really super transparent right here, you guys. Okay, A, I love sex. It's fucking amazing, okay? B, there's really hot chicks in the adult industry, really hot chicks. And if you can block out whatever else that they've been up to this week or last week or their past whole whatever, it's a lot of fun. It can be really fun interacting with them, right? But the hottest chicks that I've ever been with, like the top 10 hottest chicks I've ever been with, were all fans. You know what I mean? Like, there's actually, in some of them, and I'm not the type to kiss and tell. I'm not the type to name drop or anything like that. But there's literally fans which are like more famous than me that I've also been with. You know what I mean? And not only that, but there's super smoking hot fans which I've been with that contacted me because they didn't get any action for months or in some case even years. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, it's a thing that happens to women a lot, where if they get too many duds, some serious time off. So, you all know it's true. You all know it's true. You know what I'm saying? But if you take home like 2, 3, maybe 4 guys in a row, I don't know how these numbers actually play. I don't know how many it takes, but I know if you get a few in a row that come home, you go home with you and they are like a 2-pump chump, or they just got a little, if they're a little underwhelming in the shorts, a lot of times women will decide that no more for a while. They'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna be about me for a little while and only me. And a lot of times what happens is that after that, when they're like, okay, it's been long enough, then they're still scared. They don't want to just dive back into the thing that's failed them so many times of picking up guys wherever that they normally do, Tinder or the bar or whatever. They want a sure thing when they come back. And that reality has led to, in the past for me, especially when I was really popular and like a really A-list guy in the industry, a lot of times these really, really, really smoking hot chicks will be like, hey, yo, I haven't had any action in a while, like, would you break me back in? And back then, being the young man that I was in my 20s and whatever, I was happy to oblige. You know what I'm saying? I was happy to welcome them back. And so that really ran the numbers up, because it's not as many as I encountered in the industry, but it's close. And the cool thing is that those experiences were probably a bit more pure, because like I said, in a lot of cases, probably even most cases, it was me responding to someone's lack of attention than me going after anything which was available. It was more like offered, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. So I don't know if that's an entertaining. I'm scared to go back to the chat after that. Let's see. He says, good evening again from the comfort of the living room. That's good to be home. Maria Julia, big hugs from Brazil. Big hugs back at you. Can you borrow the hair? Um, uh, Energetically, maybe. Let's see. So, okay, there's the suffering thing. So let's see. Sarah says, "Hi there. I find you to be a very interesting person. Was your family aware of your past occupation? How did that affect your relationship? And how is your relationship with them today?" They're aware. After the prison thing, they kind of learned to detach emotionally from my decisions and things surrounding me. So it didn't really, of course it was hard on my mother to know that I was in prison, and for sure she definitely thinks that she suffered more than I did when I was in there. But you know what, that that prepared her for coping with whatever decisions that the fruit of her loins decided to make in their own conscious and individual life. Nancy says, "How does a person find themselves in silence by themselves, with nobody around, inside? Just look in. Ask yourself, who am I? What am I? Am I this name on my birth certificate? Am I this body that I see in the mirror? Am I this voice that's constantly fucking talking inside my head? Am I the one listening to the voice constantly talking inside my head? Or am I perhaps something much older than that? Something that existed long before the atoms in this body arranged themselves into the form that you see today? What will I be after this body dissolves back into atoms and things? That's how you find yourself. You just ask yourself the most important question, which is, who am I? And if you ever come to some kind of answer to that question, you can really expand on it by asking yourself, where am I? And at the center of all of those things, at the center of those two questions, is you. You're there. Let's see. No, it says, what does actually the suffering mean in your point of view? Suffering is basically anything short of bliss. Once you realize that absolute bliss is not only available to you, but it's an option that you can experience anytime, you'll realize that basically every other state of being that you're in accounts, not every other, but the majority of the feelings which you, emotions and things that you experience on a normal everyday basis, you will recognize them as suffering. Basically everything is suffering when you unlock the ability to experience bliss at any time and any moment, and that you realize that all your emotions are optional. Eventually you can become so refined in that you will want to experience suffering occasionally, and you will choose to do it. just as a reminder of how amazing your bliss is. Let's see. Jackie says, maybe that's why these coffee places popped up like crazy. That's true. Well, it's not just, it's in everything. It's in fucking chocolate. It's in sodas. It's in fucking literally everything. You know? There's probably other shit too. Fucking folate overdoses and all kinds of shit. Darine DV says, bonjour. How have you been? Just got in. You talking about caffeine slowing down the awakening process? Because that's facts. I was talking about that. That was definitely a brief point, but it's 100%. It's not just a slow. I mean, it slows it down. It depends how much you drink. It can literally shut down. Like, you can shut down your whole thing. Like, it's whatever's going on with your chemicals inside yourself when you're awakening and going through all that stuff. It's not a caffeine-friendly process. Like, fucking, the caffeine thing is fucking also too. Like, it's crazy how people convince themselves that they're not addicted to it. They're like, I've been drinking it for fucking 20 years and I'm not addicted. I only need 1 cup a day. That's it. I'm good. I'm not addicted at all. Fucking A. Why would I quit? I only do it in the mornings. Mormons don't drink caffeine. And that's true. And that's how you know something, for sure. There's something to that. So listen, I don't know that much about Scientology, but I do believe to the Scientology things because I know a Scientologist and my bullshit radar is like fucking top notch. And he was telling me about his experiences with Scientology with the, I think they're called like adjusters or auditors. And the Scientology auditors are spiritually powerful. They are doing like some kind of shock to pot. They're doing some energetic work there. So there's something to the whole Scientology thing. They definitely know more than people realize that they know. Darian says, why are you scared? We all have colorful life paths. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I don't know. Cannonball says, what are my views on monogamy? Have you ever been faithful to one woman? I know it's a tricky question given the line of work, but would you want to be faithful to one woman now, physically? That's a complicated question. I have, okay, so I've never agreed to be faithful to anybody. Now, that being said, I have actually been faithful, even to the point of, though I didn't agree to it, I had a girlfriend some years ago that I was so totally in love with and so into that I just couldn't really perform at work anymore with other girls. Like, I just wasn't, I was like no longer really attracted to anyone else. And so I have had that experience. I know that it's possible. Now, that being said, I would never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, be involved with someone that gave me an ultimatum of any sort. If it's a requirement that somebody must possess me and have absolute rights over my fucking cock, excuse my language, then that's a no. That's a no for me. That's a no. It's just it's a non-starter. Now, do I want somebody to make me feel the way that I have felt before, where I'm not interested in anyone else, don't want anyone else? Yes, I would love to feel like that. That's a fucking amazing feeling. It's so fucking good. It's a feeling of home, but I just wouldn't make a promise, because I stay in the moment, and I act on the moment, you know, and I'm not going to make a promise that I can't guarantee that I'll keep, because I can't predict the future and I can't predict how I will feel in the future. So why would I promise something that is unpredictable? Like I don't, you know, or something that requires me to live outside of the moment that I'm in. That's like setting myself up for failure. Like, what's the point of getting rid of all my physical belongings and everything else that I'm doing to try to clear my plate to live in the moment so that I can pursue my spirituality at any given second that my energy is rising? Like, what's the point of all that if I'm going to make promises to people that require me to predict the future or act some way in the future based upon a circumstance which is unforeseeable or happened? Just not a thing, you know. So and I operate on the same thing. Like I'm never going, one thing I will never do is plea or negotiate for someone's monogamy or faithfulness. Like, what my way of operating there is that I will be the best version of myself. If I want someone to be loyal to me and to look no farther, then I will turn up and be the absolute, I will raise the bar so high that they cannot even see the little people looking up wanting a piece. Lower themselves that much, then we learn something, you know. So that's my way of dealing with things, is that I want things to be real. I want my emotion that leads to my action to be real and authentic, not based upon some words that I uttered at some point, you know. And the same thing is that I don't want someone to be faithful to me because they're afraid that I'm going to be upset. Don't want someone to be faithful to me because I told them they have to. I want someone to not even see anybody else from me because they don't exist in their eyes. You know, if that's going to be the level that somebody wants to feel about me, I'm happy to, but it's not going to be the kind of thing of that, oh, I feel this way about you because you are doing these certain set of things that I wanted you to, or you're living by these certain rules that make me comfortable or make me happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that makes any sense at all to me. And makes me as a spiritual way to live, you know. Maybe in retrospect, if you're like been in a situation long enough, you're like, look, I can't possibly foresee anything ever changing, blah 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 blah, this and the other. This is something that I'm doing for myself. Maybe that's a situation, but it's just not. That's again something that could only take place at the moment when it's taking place. It can only exist in the present. It can't be a prediction, you know. It can't be a memory. Like, it has to be now, at this moment, at this second. And so that's the way I feel about that. Who's going through a real awakening? Have you been through that Kundalini? Because things steamrolled for a while. It does feel like that. Well, it can't. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone's experience. One thing is, like, so I have a theory on that. So the Kundalini, yeah, I raised Kundalini a long time ago. Now that kind of triggers like something in your body where you start going through some physical processes, and one of those physical processes, I believe, is like the production of new types of neurotransmitters, or maybe just more neurotransmitters, but possibly even things like DMT and whatever else starts secreting from your brain. And when the receptors for those new chemicals are just first getting a taste, you know what I'm saying? Those DMT receptors get their first little hit of, first off, you got this big virgin, pituitary up there, just all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we've been saving this up for death, but we decided to just squirt it out today. And you get this big hit of DMT, and those receptors never even tasted it before, and all of a sudden they're like, whoa, fucking. Then, you know, that definitely causes, that can feel like getting steamrolled for a while, because you know, you're like basically tripping the fuck out. You know, and I think it's an obvious question if you're mentally healthy to say, am I losing my fucking mind? But if you get the memo, which hopefully most of you do, if that ever happens to you, and or maybe you've watched these streams or some other person, and you say, okay, I think that's what just happened to me, it's purity time, and you start purifying right away, then you can adapt. You can develop, you know, receptors that can handle the new influx of chemicals and things going on in your brain, and you become liberated. You know what I'm saying? You have a new chemistry, a new body chemistry, and you fucking feel good all the time. Nothing bothers you anymore. You know, but if you start fucking around doing fucking drugs and whatever else, you know, or subscribing to negative emotional situations or whatever else in life while your body is readjusting to these new influx of chemicals and creating new transmitters and new receptors and things, then you can fuck yourself up and go literally fucking schizophrenic, because your body doesn't ever adapt to that. And so that's what this is really all about. That's what like the important part of this whole thing is all about, is that people need to fucking be conscious when they're, you know, I had a spontaneous awakening, but that's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's better to fucking be going for it and be purifying ahead of time, you know, and that's basically what it all comes down to. So yeah, I mean, the whole Kundalini thing is definitely, you know, it's the real deal. But you know, and then like the speed in which you go through all the stuff is going to be highly dependent upon how pure you can be. So yeah, I have been through all that, and that's basically what started this channel and why I started coming on here, because at first I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Then it was an interesting situation because I started, you know, researching, and all of a sudden I start finding, like, not a lot, but some other instances of people who have gone through the same things that I've gone through on whatever different levels, and now I'm trying to, like, you know, use the fan base that I've built up through whatever other means to deliver the message, because I also realized that this energy, this Kundalini thing, is all very heavily attached to the aura, and our auras interact with each other, and it's fucking contagious. Okay, so it's very important to realize, and this is also why it is good to go to group meditations and be around in spiritual groups and this, that, and the other and stuff like that, is because it's very important to realize this energy interacts with everyone around you, not just people you want it to or don't. Like, it's like if you are vibing big enough, you can literally walk into when you walk into a room, you're like, you like trigger everybody off around you. And if it's really, really strong, you can literally trigger like major things to start fucking happening. And so that's kind of like what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to not educate, but trying to maybe just steer people in the right direction that may be going through the same thing for whatever reasons, whether it be because it was scale in the world now from solar flares or whatever the fuck else is going on. Confirm us, all BS aside, and it's not child's play. Like, if you're going on a spiritual route, you're starting to do spiritual things, you're starting to have a spontaneous awakening, or maybe you're gearing forward towards it, you got to do it the right way, or you could fucking lose your shit. But if you do it the right way and you don't lose your shit, it's the most important thing that you'll ever do in your life, and liberation is real and possible. You can be free from suffering. Let's see, back to the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Who am I? Where am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Most people have no idea what these questions really mean or point to. That's true, and I could tell you, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise, okay? Like, those are the questions, and I have a feeling you know what the answer is, and that's why you're saying what you just said, but don't tell anybody. Just let them enjoy the surprise when they find out. Noel Lucio says, nice to hear you talk about life's reality. Keep on talking and I will keep on listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm happy to have you. By the way, you guys don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications and all that stuff. Yeah. Privet Anna. Doreen DV says, can't predict it, so live on the end. You're getting rid of your conditioning. Don't do anything you feel resistant to do. Trust yourself indeed. Yeah, just let it go. You know, everything is, like, the intellectual brain gets in the way of everything because we've learned to rely on the intellectual brain for all aspects of our life. But the intellectual brain was really only meant to put food in our mouth and figure out how to, like, you know, escape danger and, you know, do like little functional things sometimes when the need arises. It was never meant to be the dominant part of our brain that we fucking operate everything on all the time. But that's what's happened, you know, and caffeine and a lot of things have a lot to do with that. But there's a reverse correlation. You know, like, you have a certain amount of chi, prana, life force, whatever you want to call it, right? You got a certain amount of electricity running your system, right? And, you know, it can power up. It's harder for it to power everything max all the time than it is to, like, move energy from one section to the next. That's why we have the chakras, and we can feel these, you know, really acutely, especially in the early parts of our awakening, right? Now, as you progress towards the end, you'll have less acuteness of these different centers, and it'll become more of like a single, like, it'll feel less like a centers and more like one column of energy that's basically like going down the center of your whole body, and like out the top of your head, you know. But you know, the reason why in the beginning that you can feel all this stuff really acutely and you can, like, move it from spot to spot to spot is because you haven't built up your life force big enough to power everything simultaneously yet, which is part of what your body is doing when you're going through this Kundalini awakening and you're going through all this stuff, is that once you've actually, like, done the full Kundalini awakening, your body goes through and starts, like, not just repairing, but, like, building your whole nervous system stronger. That's why you get these, like, psychic knots and, like, these things in your back as you're going. It's because you're literally, your back, the mendings and the nerves and things coming out of your spine are getting bigger, and it's literally like forcing the, you know, like, your vertebrae has to grow to accommodate these new bigger mendings and these new bigger nerve plexuses coming out and stuff. Like, you'll literally feel your spine get thicker and things. And so, you know, in the beginning, your energy before all this takes place, it just kind of gets moved around from like one thought to the next. It can't power it all simultaneously, you know. And so that's why getting out of this intellectual part of your mind and into other areas of your mind, learning to shut this off, learning to meditate and, you know, retract your senses and things, is such a big part of the whole thing, is because you're now learning to shut down the fucking super power hungry part of your brain that's been conditioned to be totally dominant and like sucking up all your fucking energy. And you shut that down, and all of a sudden you're releasing all this energy, and it can go and do other things. Well, when it goes and do other things, then it goes through and it checks your other systems, and it's like, hey, fucking everything's all whacked out over here. Like, only that one section is working good, and like the rest of you is all fucked up. Well, then it's like, oh, I guess we better start fucking repairing that, right? So this is why like meditating is like super important, especially in the beginning. As you like progress, like you'll actually expand into like a more like what I was explaining of like, you know, like when I'm really vibing high, it's like being a dream, like asleep and awake at the same time. It's like a awake dreaming, right? And that's because both sides are getting powered simultaneously, you know. So that's just definitely something to where the chat's kind of dying, you guys. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it before. Let's see. Let's see. Oh wow, there's so much chat still. Okay. Says, all right, there's where we're at. So Frankie says, monogamy is a cute Victorian concept and total BS. We are not programmed to be monogamous. No, we're not. But you know, I mean, it's really all about, I mean, that is a certain level. Monogamy is probably like a certain is like, in my view, it's a certain level of immersion with another person, and I think it's cool if it happens naturally and that it's something that is whatever. But the fact that we built this whole social construct around it, no, it's not natural, it's not good. And what happens because of the social constructs surrounding it is that a lot of people end up in unnatural relationships. You know what I'm saying? People say, because I like this person, because I love this person, or because I have affection for this person, and that society says that I'm supposed to be monogamous in any given relationship, what happens is a lot of people end up in a relationship where they like the person, they love the person, they whatever they want, whatever, but they don't necessarily naturally feel monogamous towards the person, but yet they're forcing monogamy into their relationship, and that creates some kind of, I don't know, barrier between the two people, which is the exact opposite of what it was originally meant to do or be about. Let's see. Cannonball says, people who are unfaithful and lie about it, hide it, and try lying to themselves. I think in a relationship where there is trust, this can be discussed. Strict monogamy actually wants to make you look outside. Exactly. That's what I was basically just saying. It's like, it's when it's not inspired naturally and it's inspired by rules, it drives a wedge between two people, and it does turn your gaze outward. Oh, whoops. Much love, Laura. Thank you for coming. Maria says, have you ever listened to Alan Watts? I think you would like it. He's well known in the U.S. I've listened to a couple of his things, his like more famous stuff. Like I've heard the whole dream speech, which I think is really interesting. Sam, whatever you're doing back there, stop it. Dorian Duby says, you really are tripping. When it started for me, I said, okay, what Z-Fac is going on here? And I thought it was I was hardwired to self-destruct, and then I realized I really was an update. Yeah, it takes a minute. Like, you just have to, you got to get through the trippy part. Like, I mean, you can't live your whole, you know, it's like I always say, I can't teach anyone anything. I can't teach you guys how to meditate. I can't teach you fucking really much at all. All I can really teach you is how to unlearn everything that you've ever known. That's the only thing I'm really qualified for, is telling you, like, what anything that you've ever known or you've ever taken as reality or for granted, or that you were fucking taught, indoctrinated. Like, shake it all. It doesn't even matter. Like, honestly, you will do more damage to yourself by believing it all than you will by discarding something that was true. Even if it, you know, the most effective lies are half truths, and that's, you know, they use that a lot in the indoctrination of you since you were like a child. So I always say is just fucking, is the more you can break down reality, like, the better. Just fucking, once you realize that, you know, science was the biggest half truth of all, the biggest lie of all, and that magic, you know, the fantasy that they you know, hammered home was, you know, only in the movies with Disney and everything else when you were like a kid. Once you realize that the reality is that magic is real and that they've been trying to hide it from you from the start, what they call magic, and that science is the biggest fucking lie of all times. Not to say that scientific experiments that can be recreated over and over again aren't true. They are. But the point being is that even with AI and fucking all the time in the world, like, we will never understand 1% of science. Like, we'll never understand 1%. So that means that we're operating on a, you know, just a tiny little part truth, not very much at all, you know. And if we're operating on a fucking 1% part truth, then we're operating on a 99% lie. So, but the beauty of it is that the actual usable aspects of science, which is magic, doesn't require you to understand even 1%. You don't have to understand any of it. You just have to be able to feel it inside yourself, and you do that using your emotions. So, and sensations even. So that's kind of like the whole thing there. And I know that a lot of people that invested a lot of time into education and things like that don't like to hear that they are just specializing and telling 1% of the 99% lie, but that is what it is. Let's see. Cannonball says, from kid at a certain spiritual level, I think either you are faithful to one person or you can be with anyone, and that in purity if you choose. This is a complex idea that can be abused and manipulated. I agree 100% with that statement, actually, and both of it. It can be abused and manipulated as well, but absolutely that's the truth, is that maybe you're the type of person that just, you know what you want, you know what you like, you found that thing, and you're dedicated to it, and that's good. The other side of that is to operate with purity and transparency. You know, not that it's everybody's business of everything that you do to even require knowledge or transparency of anything is in some way a manipulation and a possession. Um, but um, but it can be done with purity, no matter what the situation is. Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Laura. Katie says, Cannonball, absolutely. I agree with 100% spiritually it is possible. I've been celibate for some time myself. No D can be that amazing if his energy is off. That's true. Well, I don't know. I've never experienced it on the other side, but for sure, in theory, I agree. Doreen says, I second that. If you do it right, you'll finally feel what you're really capable of. You'll be enough for yourself. Try it, it's worth the pain. Sarah says, regarding monogamy, would you let your partner know whether you are monogamous or let know if no, it's an open relationship? I explained this on the last stream actually, and you know, I can only speak actually from the past because I don't actually have any present experience, but you know, in the past, dealing with possessiveness or things like that, relationships, you know, I would never promise monogamy even when I was monogamous. And also, I was always the type that if somebody was like paranoid and accusing me of something that didn't happen or whatever, like somebody thought something or made some kind of assumption, even if they were dead wrong, like for example, someone thought I was off doing something or I was seeing somebody, and the reality is that I was just sitting in my car playing chess for hours. And then I got home and that person would be like, say something like thinking that I was off doing something. I would just nod and go about my business. I wouldn't even correct them. I wouldn't even be like, you're fucking stupid. I was just playing chess. I wouldn't even deny it. Be like, think whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? And that was in, you know, at the time, I'm not saying that came from a place of like spiritual purity. That was actually probably from a place of malice, because I probably was just like thinking like, go ahead and make yourself suffer. Go ahead and think whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't care. Like, the reality is the reality, and that's all that matters. You know? But that's the way that I always did. Now, because I know that probably did cause tremendous suffering, like in retrospect and whatever, like might I have done differently? I don't know. Maybe. I can't really say. That's what happened, and I'm not predicting the future. But I do understand what I was doing at that time, which was not something that was spiritually pure. Even though I hadn't even though the situation might have been whatever, it was still to knowingly cause someone pain just because they were having an overactive imagination or operating on the first 3 letters of assumption. It wasn't necessarily right. Now, to say that I should have to explain myself about fucking sitting in my car and playing chess is no, that's also a no for me. So the reality is that the right thing to do in that situation was to remove myself from the situation, which I eventually did. You know what I'm saying? And not just one. I'm just, not to say that's the only time that I ever experienced anything like that, but it was just a good analogy for this question. Kita says, let's support this channel. Oh yeah, you guys, support the channel, please. At some point, I may end up turning on the members chat just to keep out the trolls as this thing grows. But honestly, we had a lot of good traffic today from, I'm assuming, the live feed or the shorts feed. And I've only had to block like 2 or 3 people today, which was not that bad. And at least they were all had like their own like you know, kind of unique way of talking shit today, instead of just like coming in here and repeatedly being like, eyebrows on face. Only one. You know, which is also cool, because sometimes, you know, I mean, I guess it can be entertaining to watch them talk shit as well, if it's not too repetitive, or at least creative. But don't be stealing my fucking punchlines about the Neanderthal thing, fuckers. Only I'm allowed to cap on my Neanderthal blood. Cannonball says, sorry for being so overreactive on the monogamy talking. I just have first-hand experience on how serial adulterer womanizing messes up the adulterer himself. Can be an addiction. Bruce is a distinct exception because he spreads love consciously. That's true, but the thing is like, you know, expect nothing and you'll never be disappointed. That's like literally the simplest thing that you can plot everything, and everyone's like, nobody wants to fucking hear that. And I'm not saying this isn't directed at anyone, I'm just saying, but in general, anything that upsets you in life can be filed into that compartment. Is literally, you know, I mean, and that's part of spiritual growth, is to realize that you have no control of anything outside of yourself. The only thing that you control is you. It's the only thing. You can't even designate, like it's even crazy to give people designations. You know what I'm saying? Because you might call someone your husband. That might be their designation. You know what I'm saying? But if maybe he's your worst fucking enemy in life. You know what I'm saying? But you're just calling him that. Maybe somebody else is your best friend, but that's like your deepest lover. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fucking love them so pure that you won't even fuck them because you wouldn't risk hurting them. You know what I'm saying? Or you wouldn't want to risk losing them from your life because you complicated a situation. You know what I mean? Like, there's all types of different ways of explaining that, to where you could call someone one thing and they could be something completely else. So the reality is that you're the only one that controls you, and you're the only one that decides who you are. You don't get to decide who or what anyone else is. You don't really get to decide who your best friend is. You don't really get to decide who your lover is, or your allies or your enemies. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to decide your worst enemy. There might be one motherfucker that you hate in the world more than anyone else, and you might think that that's your worst enemy because you personally don't like that person the most. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, there might be a totally another person who you don't even know their fucking name. They somehow know you, and they despise you so much that their whole life is dedicated to destroying you. You know? That's your worst enemy. Who got to make the decision? Not you. They did. So the reality is that everybody's going to be whoever they want to be, and they're going to act however they're going to act. You trying to control that or wanting something out of somebody is based on desire, and it's you trying to control something which you have no control over. If you expect nothing, you'll never be disappointed. That's a fact. Expect nothing and you'll never be disappointed. Worry about yourself and you will fucking worry about everything which is under your control. If you release anything and everything that's outside of your control from your emotions, you have liberation. You're free. You're good. Release everything that you have no control over. Everything. If there's no point in thinking, like think about, like, you have a limited amount of energy, a limited amount of thoughts, right? Like, anything that you can do to save yourself a cognitive function is a win. Like, why think about anything outside of your control? You have more than enough energy to micromanage every aspect of yourself. You don't have even close to enough energy, not even 1% of enough energy to do anything outside of yourself. That's just you lying to yourself and saying that, oh, because something went the way that I wanted it to, and I tried to influence that, and it worked out that way, that I did that. But it's not true. That's just, you got lucky, and that you got your way, and you're taking responsibility for something that you have no responsibility for. You know, so that's my 2 cents on that. Oh shit, my battery's about to die, you guys. I gotta go. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to catch up on the chat. I don't know, it like keeps going to the bottom. Let's see, exception because, okay, that's where, okay, so Frangita says, no need to be sorry. Sorry for the bad experiences. Well, can we agree that Mr. Venture is the least toxic male on this effed up planet? I'll take it. Thank you. You guys don't have to agree. I agree. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's see. Mr. Venture is the messenger of love all men and women should watch and listen to. Oh, you guys are being so nice. Let's see. Orlando says, what are some other things that you believe to be social constructs? Appearance, freedom, wealth, beauty. Like, there's a lot of things. Evil and good and evil. Those are social constructs. Like, there's a lot. Basically everything. Everything outside of you is a social construct. You know, everything inside of you is a self-construct. So, I don't know. That's a pretty broad spectrum thing. I could go on, I honestly could do a whole stream about everything that's a social construct, because I'd just be talking about everything that exists outside of nature, you know. Welcome, Topi. You've seen me somewhere, you don't remember it. Well, maybe eventually you will remember, you never know. Jackie says, I do that too. I don't argue. I just let them believe what they want to believe. I'm not going to argue. Exactly. What's the point? They're just exposing themselves. Let them expose themselves. You know, I'm not saying that your partner should ever be considered your enemy, but, you know, sometimes you can put down the Lao Tzu and pick up the Sun Tzu, and you can say, you know, there's definitely some wisdom there too. You know what I mean? Like, when your enemy is making a mistake, do nothing. Not saying that that's necessarily your enemy, but they kind of are like acting like one when they're trying to manipulate you. Kimball says, let's agree that many women contribute to unfaithfulness. There are some out there who inspire and nurture faithfulness, and plenty really push men away. Anything they can do, and yeah, it's everything, and so on. It's true. There's a million different things, but again, the moral of the story is we just need to worry about ourselves and be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and that has nothing to do with monogamy or non-monogamy. That has to do with purity of self and virtue. And virtue is, again, it's not monogamy or non-monogamy, it's deceitfulness or non-deceitfulness. You know what I'm saying? Is more the way to look at that. Alright, there's no need to deceive, just be. Jackie says, that's true. I don't get to decide what that person is like or about. All I control is how I react to them, how I respond to them. Exactly. That's 100% you. James, of course, says, hey Bruce, just want to stop in and say, hey, I really appreciate the content, really great discussions I've been finding on your channel. Big ups, peace. Back to watching on the big screen.
Awesome. Right on, James. Appreciate you stopping in and giving me some props. And there's, yeah, tons of content to catch up on. At some point, I'll start trying to cut these streams down into like more digestible bits of value. But for now, those who are out there and want to, you know, see what we've been talking about, we got probably 70, 80 hours of streams on the more recent subjects alone. So love hearing from you, and if there's anything specifically, any specific quotes or anything, sections, comments that you found super valuable, would love to hear about it either in the comments, you can post the time, or on Telegram. We got a Telegram group for ongoing discussion. I wish I was more active on there myself. I mainly use it as a place to let people know when I'm streaming, but our people here keep the conversation going after the streams. Sometimes people discuss whatever we talked about, so that's a good place to do that as well. So you guys, I think that I made it to the bottom of the chat. Okay, you guys, that was an hour, that was 2 hours. Okay, that's perfect. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go. Much love, everybody. Thank you for attending my stream. I think that was a good one. Don't forget to follow on Telegram. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget that anytime that you're watching a video, if you see something or a quote that's really valuable to you personally, please say something in the comments under the video. Leave the timestamp of when it happens so that myself can find it and cut it out and make it short, or other people reading the comments don't have to watch the 2 hour or 3 hour stream to see the cool thing that you thought was cool, because not everything that I personally think is valuable is going to be the same as what everyone else found value in. I try to be as you know, empathetic as possible of all different people's situations when we do these things, and so it helps me see what other people found value in. So thank you so much. That really matters a lot. And thank you again, Noi, for the donation. You guys, I much appreciate you all so much. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting to say. If there's any last minute things that, thank you as well, Topi, James. Okay, everybody, I love you guys all so much. I'll see you soon. Peace.